Thank you so much, Ike, and thanks for being here. It's awesome that we can get together and do this so that we can, bring more awareness to this district in this area. It's really important that we do that. So my name is Holly Herson. I have to keep myself on track because I will go off on, So I am a healthcare worker. I'm a mother. I'm a Colorado Weld County native. I'm not a politician. And I think that that's really important to know. A lot of the people that we're running against are career politicians, and that's not what we need in this area because they don't understand what we need as people. It takes people to really lead our districts and our state in the direction where we all know it needs to go, right? So some of the biggest policy issues that have been really dear to my heart my entire life, but even more so in my adult life, is access to mental health care as wellness care in Colorado. I lost my father to suicide in 2009, and that was the catalyst that really pushed me to want to double down and make a difference. I became very involved in local ballot initiatives, local organizations and groups in order to bring good mental health care to all of northern Colorado. I went back to school and participated in a voluntary internship with a Colorado state senator because I wanted to know what it was like to really be on those front lines trying to make a difference in this state. I worked with, at that time, Senator John Kafalis, who's now the Larimer County Commissioner, in order to help pass legislation that gave us freestanding emergency departments all over Colorado. That was back in 2017, where a lot of rural Colorado didn't have access to emergency departments. All we had was the real big emergency rooms in, big cities, so like Greeley and Fort Collins and Loveland. But in our little municipalities and towns, we didn't have access to that emergency health care. And that is incredibly scary if you have to drive 50 miles to an emergency room in an emergency. It's also very expensive if you have to take an ambulance or a flight for life. And so that was one of the reasons why John, that time Senator Kafalis, consulted me as a healthcare worker who specializes in healthcare policy to try to figure out what do we need to do in order to bring emergency care to rural Colorado. And so we got that passed in 2017, and now you'll see those facilities all over rural Colorado, and that's fantastic. That experience really gave me the confidence that I needed in order to decide, yes, I'm going to run for office. Because it's not just a pipe dream that I have to make a difference. I can do this. And like I said, I'm not a politician, I'm just a person. I'm a 33-year-old woman with, gay woman with my wife and my 1-year-old son, and I'm gonna do this for everybody because it's not about special interests, it's about people, right? We have to talk about, like Ike said, diversification of our economy, so that we can bring good jobs to rural Colorado. Right now, you'll hear a lot about, we can't allow Democrats to take office because they're going to take our jobs away. People are afraid. They're afraid that they're going to lose their bread and butter, right? They're afraid that their jobs that they have in the energy industry are going to disappear if we're elected. We need to tell them that we are not working against them. We are working for them. The people that are actually working against them, unfortunately, are the ones that they're voting for over and over again. They're the people that are focusing on these industries that are a resource curse. It's a boom and bust economy that's going to create ghost towns in these beautiful neighborhoods that we have just built, that we've just moved into, that we are trying to create a community out of. So we really need to focus on, we are diversifying. We are not taking your job away. We will help your job exist, and if it doesn't, we will help to encourage policy that moves you in a direction that allows you to retain your high incomes, not have to go into industries where you're taking giant pay cuts. You will get to stay in the communities that you've built and loved because we are working for those communities. That is what a just transition is all about. We need infrastructure. We need internet. The pandemic has made that clear. There is absolutely no reason why people can't work and send their kids to school online in the same house because the internet can't handle it. Coax cable needs to be replaced with fiber yesterday. And that's something that we need to focus on in the legislature and also on the federal level. Colorado, particularly rural Colorado, has been forgotten. We've been left behind. I recently participated in a discussion on rural broadband, and the money's there, the people that can do the work are there, but it's been held, sat on, misappropriated, and it hasn't been put where we need it. There's places like La Junta that one line gets cut and an entire section of the state loses their internet. That's almost the situation we're in. We have a better infrastructure than places in southern Colorado, but that infrastructure is aging, and we haven't had representation that has focused on building that infrastructure for the past 8 years within my seat that I'm running for right now. I don't foresee, if my opponent gets elected into this position, that she will do any different than the last 8 years. If I'm elected to this seat, that will be my number one priority for infrastructure, is bringing good internet to our district specifically. Education from pre-K all the way up through university or trade school needs to be a priority as well. We have military recruiters coming into our high schools talking to juniors and seniors. We also need to have union representatives coming into our high schools talking to juniors and seniors, because not everybody wants to take on $50,000 in debt for a college education. So that's something that we need to focus on as well, and that's something I've worked very closely. I'm endorsed by several unions, the AFL-CIO, the Electricians Union, because I really believe that our children, our grandchildren, and us, we can benefit from having that union participation in this district, because that is part of that just transition. Finding and encouraging infrastructure building, finding and encouraging union participation is going to bring those good high-paying jobs to our regions. Everything I'm talking about is interconnected, and the fact that little bits and pieces have been ignored over the years is why we're falling behind. So if we bring it all together and realize that this is just a puzzle, and if we look at it, step back and say, you know what, let's focus on the bigger picture and bring all these pieces together, we can make this place even more fantastic than it already is. Thank you guys so much for being here today. I'm looking for volunteers and for additional support for my campaign so that I can bring out more people to talk about this stuff. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for creating the social networks that are bringing people out and chatting with all of us, and more of that is what we need, because there's so many of us out there. Thank you again very much.